Hello, everybody, and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G. John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday only here on Top Shelf Oldies. Want to welcome you to the January 16th, 2021 Vinyl Treasures Show. Glad you can join me for some cool 45s out of my collection. I went to get my hair cut today. I hope I look okay for the cameras. As Dave the Rave says, I am a video star on YouTube. I would say not I am, but anyway. Stick around for the next, did I say 12 o'clock? I always say 12. I'll be here till 1 a.m. here. So those of you out in California tuned in, it'll be early night for you, but those of you on the East Coast, it'll be a late night. But we opened up with the biggest hit for saxophonist Noble Thin Man Watts on Saul Rabinowitz's Baton label out of New York City, his second of 7. It was called The Slop. Now, I have a promo of this. Interesting thing on the promo. On my promo, it says, the new teenage dance sensation, The Slop. And then they later shortened it. If you go look on 45 Cat, they later shortened it to Hard Times, which actually somebody wrote on this promo copy. I'll show you guys in the watching on YouTube. But this charted number 44 on Billboard, was a big number 10 record on WAAF in Chicago, Illinois. But I said, I don't know what's on with this promo, because the flip side is another record that's something different. It says, the flip is called I'm Walking the Floor Over You. And if you go look on 45 Cat, they don't have that. It's called Midnight Flight. Now, I do have that released too, so I don't know what happened to this record, but it's a cool tune from October 1957. Noble Thin Man Watts and his Rhythm Sparks. It's really called The Slop on Baton. I remember, who was it, Jack Spector, who used that as a theme song, if I'm not mistaken, when he was on CBS FM. Anyway, enough of my babbling here. Got a lot of cool requests, rare 45s to go. Let's start her off. We open up the show with a couple of jump tunes, as we always do. I've played this one many times before. I love this tune. I really do. These gals are from Harlem, New York, and this was their only release. It came out on Joe Leibowitz's premium label. They are Betty Ann Williams and Rosetta Brown. They are known as the Copacetics. Let's give a listen to the Copacetics, November 1956 on the premium label. The song is called Collegian.
Collegian or bohemian, it doesn't matter which one. I believe that's alright with me. I don't want you if you can't be collegian, or if you can't be bohemian. I believe that's alright with me. If you're down and if you're conservative, collegian, that's the thing to be. So be smooth and on the groove, baby.
In a hard to be a collegian, Ivy League or bohemian, all you have to do is get a little wear and tear. You'll get down, so don't be a limit and get in the rock, cause they dried up in the coconuts. So get on the scene, you dig what I mean?
you would. I believe that's alright with me. Collegian, bohemian, I believe. Collegian, bohemian, I believe.
Yeah, we open up the vocal portion there with the Copacetics, really a duet. It's not really a full group, but it sounds like a full group. The Copacetics, November 1956, on the premium label. It's called Collegian. Are you collegian or bohemian? You can make your choice. Let's continue here. We stay on the premium label because last week I played a request for Daniel Kubacki on premium by the Wheels. It was called My Heart's Desire, the debut single for the group that featured Rudy Anderson on lead. The flip features a group member, Alan Bunn, who also wrote the song, and he would eventually become the manager for the group. Now, Alan Bunn would later record as Tar Heel Slim, but let's go to April 1956 for a B-side by the Wheels on premium. It's called Let's Have a Ball.
I'm gonna ball like I never did ball before. I'm gonna ball like I never did ball before. I may never get a break like this in life no more. I got money in my pocket. I ain't begging for bread. Cadillac Eldorado, and it's gone to my head. Short time to live, long time to stay dead. I ain't doing no favors, I ain't asking for none. Long as I got money, I can pay for my fun. That's the way I want it, that's the way it must be done. I'm gonna ball like I never did ball before. Hey, I'm gonna ball like I never did ball before. I may never get a break like this in life no more. I'm gonna ball like I never did ball before. I'm gonna ball like I never did ball before. I may never get a break like this in life no more. A certain little mama is gonna jump and shout when that Eldorado rolls up and I come walking out. I'm gonna tell a little baby, you don't know what it's all about. I want no special woman, I want no special friend. I want a good time today, tomorrow maybe down again. Don't dial my number, I'll tell you when. I'm gonna ball like I never did ball before. I'm gonna ball like I never did ball before. I may never get a break like this in life no more.
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Wheels. The Wheels, not with Rudy Anderson on lead. Alan Bunn on lead for that one, April 1956 on the premium label. That is their first release. First of three, I think. Yeah, three. Loco, that, and one more. Yeah, let's have a ball. We always have a ball here on Saturday night here from 10 to 1 a.m. here on Top Shelf Oldies. And I think Daniel asked me in the chat room how everyone's doing with the COVID. I have to say that they are all doing fine. They are much better. They are finally getting their taste back. They said that they lost all their sense of taste and smell. Very interesting, which is a common characteristic of that of that of this virus, this terrible virus. So they are fine. But again, they're much younger than Johnny G and my parents here. So I still have to be careful. I went to get my haircut today in Ossining, New York, and the barber did get his first shot, he said. So he said he was okay. He's got to go back in February. So anyway, they're allowing people to register for those shots if you meet certain criteria. I do not yet, so we shall see. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We play the music chronologically, and here's one from 1953. We head to Philadelphia, PA for a request for Daniel Kubacki. He likes these records out of Philadelphia and these great groups. A couple of weeks ago, he requested this group's debut single on Herb Slotkin's Grand record label. It was Sweetness. I played that, and I played the flip last week, I think, for Daryl. My Girl Awaits Me. This week, Daniel requested their follow-up to that. It features young George Grant on lead. This one from November of 1953 going out to Daniel. The Castels. The Castels on Grand. It's called This Silver Ring.
Upon my finger is all the memory left of love I used to share with you. One ring for two. From my hand, dear, this ring shall not part, for it's a symbol that you gave it to me with your heart. The many nights we shared together in my silver ring forever. When will you return for your kiss? My lips just one more time, I change this silver ring into a golden wedding
That was the sound of Philadelphia back in November of 1953. By request for Daniel Kubacki, the great Castels, George Grant and the Castels, the second of six on the Grand label. It's called This Silver Ring is the name of that one. Those of you joining into the Vinyl Treasure Show for the first time, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, click the like. Need to get the likes here as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We count down the music chronologically here. We move into 1954. Now, last week, I played a request for Joe Shacatano by the Chords, a group from the Bronx, New York, played the B-side to their second release on the Cat label. It was called Bless You for Being an Angel. Let's give a spin to the intended A-side before I file this one back down in the No Humidity basement. Features Carl Feaster on lead. This one from September 54, the Chords on the Cat label. It's called Zippity Zum. And then there's another thing here. It's called I'm in Love, in parentheses.
A zippity zoom, a zoom, a zoom, a zoom, a zippity zoom, a zoom, a zoom, a zoom. Bow, bow, bow. Whoa.
we bop and skippity hop. I'm as happy as I can be. Whoa, boom, boom, and zippity zoom. Love is sweet, love is grand, works wonderfully. Whoa, we bop and skippity hop. I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and zippity zoom. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. I don't care.
Silver and gold you can have, all the world will be at your feet. But the heart is much richer, for love you cannot be.
Oh, we bop and skippity hop. I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and zippity zoom. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I don't care. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Oh, we bop and skippity hop. I'll never be a millionaire. Whoa, boom, boom, and zippity zoom. I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love. I don't care.
That's September 1954 release there for the Chords. Carl Feaster and the Chords on the Cat record label, Zippity Zum, parentheses, I'm in love. Do you know that 45 also comes out as the Chord Cats on the Cat label? I think with their next release, they might have been the Chord Cat. I think there's another one by the Shabooms on the Cat label also on that. Anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes. All original vinyl out of my collection. We do it every Saturday from 10 to 1 a.m. in the morning. And let's continue now. And last week, I featured another great group out of Philadelphia, that being Lee Andrews and the Hearts. And the B-side to their debut single came out on Eddie Heller's Rainbow record label. It was called Baby Come Back. It was listener Darrell Letts asked if I could play the intended A-side, and it's a nice cover tune first done back in 1948 by Charles Levere on the Decca label. But let's move up 6 years to April 1954 for this version by Lee Andrews and the Hearts. It's on Rainbow Records. I have it on red vinyl. Lee Andrews and the Hearts and their rendition of the tune Maybe You'll Be There.
Each time I see a crowd of people, just like a fool I stop and stare. I know it's not the proper thing to do, and maybe you'll be there. I go out walking after midnight along the lonely thoroughfare. It's not the time or place to look for you, and maybe you'll be there. You said your arm will always hold me. You said your lips were mine alone to kiss. Well, after all those things you told me, how could it end like this? Someday when all my prayers are answered, I'll hear a footstep on the stairs. With anxious thoughts I'll hurry to the door, and maybe you'll be there. You said your arms as young would always hold me. Well, you said your lips were mine, long to kiss. And after all the many things, yes, you've told me. How could it end like this? Someday when all my prayers are answered, I'll hear a footstep on the stairs. With anxious thoughts I'll hurry to the door, and maybe you'll be there.
Wow, Johnny G getting caught. Where's my list? Where's my list? What a great tune that is there on red vinyl, no less. Lee Andrews and the Hearts, April 1954. That's their debut single on Eddie Heller's Rainbow record label. Maybe You'll Be There is the name of that one. And I don't know, the much rare release is the second press of that on the Riviera label. I've never seen a copy of that. And the group would re-record this song in 1958 for United Artists. Isn't it funny that he recorded that and he recorded the flip side of this, Baby Comeback, on Casino Records, re-recorded those two songs. Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s. I'm trying not to lose my breath with this allergy. Pain in the neck it is. I apologize for that. But let's stay in Philadelphia for a request for Evan Blatt. This group's debut single came out on the Grand label. Actually, it's a pretty nice tune. It's called Tears in My Eyes. They followed it up with Evan's Request. Came out on the Rollin' label. It features Kent Peeler on lead. We are in 1955 now. These are the Dreamers. Kent Peeler on lead. The Dreamers on Rollin' Records. It's called Melba.
Oh,
Jazz by Request for Evan Blatt there. I haven't played that in a long time. That record there by the Dreamers, 1955 on the Rollin' label. Song entitled Melba. How many girls do you know are named Melba? I don't know any. Closest thing to Melba that I know is Melba Toast, and I haven't tasted that in a long time. But anyway, that's Kent Peeler on lead. Now, Kent would record with the Universals on the Mark X record label in 1957. You might know his song, their cover of Again. That's a cool tune. And you collectors need to be very careful on this 45 because there were second presses on this record, and they're not that easy to decipher. They have to be much thicker, and actually the sound quality is better on the first press. I do have the second press of that record that doesn't play as nice as that copy, but I spent some money for that one. Johnny G babbling on here for a Saturday evening. We are in the year 1955, and last week I played a request for Evan. He requested the Savoys on Jake Porter's combo label, an excellent ballad. It was called Darling Stay With Me. Now let's give a spin to the flip side before I file this one back in the No Humidity basement, and we might have to call the lawyers on this song. This sounds to me like maybe a song by the Dandelions inspired them to record this. But you be the judge and you let me know what this sounds like. We go back to September 1955 for the Savoys on the combo label. It's called Yakka Hoom Boom.
Gele dingo da dingo da re, dinge dingo dinge de all day. Standing on a corner, man, waiting for my chick. She left last night, she reached me back pretty quick. I waited long enough, I guess I'll go home now. Walk to the bank and cool it for a while. Well, I'll go on home, there's nothing to say. I passed by Jack while I was on my way. I move a little closer, and this is what I spy. That daddy and my chick was inside. Well, they were dancing and the talking boy was trying to look his best. The things he was saying, I couldn't even guess. I move a little closer, and this is what I heard. Mama, now the mumbling word. To him or try to get away, a hoop and a hollering, but nothing he could say. I grabbed him by the collar and threw him down, and grabbed him by the hair and dragged him all around. Well, my baby looked at me, said, what have I done wrong? I looked around again, and Swister's girl was gone. Oh, ding, oh, ding, oh, ding, oh, ding.
There you go there. Those are the Savoys. The Savoys on the combo label Yaki Hoom Boom, as Warren is having trouble deciphering the words of that song. But if you thought that it sounded a lot like Chop Chop Boom by the Dandelions on the States label, you were correct, because that release came out in March of 1955. This is September 55. Actually, was this the group that covered it? I wasn't sure if the Savoys did it, but somebody did cover Chop Chop Boom on the combo label, that red shiny label. Yes, Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s. Let's continue here. Now, in last week's Vinyl Treasure Show, I played a request for Michael in California. He sent me a bunch of 1950s releases by Larry Darnell and R&B crooner Larry Darnell on Herman Lubinsky's Savoy label. Last week I played You Showed My Baby How to Love Me. Well, Michael also requested The Flip Side, which is a cover song. This was first recorded by J.P. Morgan in 1954 for RCA Records. Others recorded this also, I think. Dinah Washington, the Silvertones, Dean Martin, so many other people recorded this song. But this one's from January 1955, a version by Larry Darnell going out to Mike in California. This is on Savoy Records. His rendition of the tune, That's All I Want From You.
A little love that slowly grows and grows, not one that comes and goes. That's all I want from you. A sunny day with hopes up to the sky, a kiss and no goodbye. That's all I want from you. Don't let me down, oh, show me that you care. Remember, when you give, you also get your share. Don't let me down, I have no time to wait. Tomorrow might not come when dreamers dream too late. A little love that slowly grows and grows, not one that comes and goes. That's all I want from you. Remember, when you give, you also get your share. Don't let me down, I have no time to wait. Tomorrow might not come when dreamers dream too late. A little love that slowly grows and grows, not one that comes and goes. That's all I want from you. That's all I want from you.
That's from Mike in California, Larry Darnell, and a group. Don't know what that group is. Somebody recording in the Savoy studios there, January 1955 on Savoy. That's all I want from you. Actually, there's a website. It's Jazz Something with Savoy, and it's pretty cool because they list all the people in the studio and the date that they recorded it and who was playing guitar and drums and if there's a vocal group, etc. I didn't check it out for that. I should have checked it. Anyway, Johnny G here on a Saturday evening. We are listening to my 45s, and up next I have a special dedication song. As many of you know, Tom Luciani, he passed away January 2nd. Tom, along with his lifelong friend Joe Marchesani, started the long-running Time Capsule show, ran for almost 15 years, and one of the collector's disc jockeys that kept it going. I'm proud to say is a listener and contributor to my show. That is George Tompkins. George was a close friend of Tom, so George would like to dedicate this next song to the memory of Tom. So by special request for George, this group is from Harlem, New York. They first recorded as the Empires, but then they signed with Mercury Records, and they had this release as the Prestos. It features Bobby Dunn on lead. We go back to November 1955 on the Mercury label. These are the Prestos, by request for George to the memory of Tom Luciani. The song is called Till We Meet Again. November 1955 release there for the Prestos, a.k.a. the Empires. The Empires with Bobby Dunn on lead. That's on the Mercury record label, Till We Meet Again. And may Tom rest in peace as we remember him here on the Vinyl Treasure Show and Top Shelf Oldies as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. And up next, a request for listener Joe Shacatano as we head out to Los Angeles, California. This group recorded 2 for Art Roop's specialty record label. This is their second. It was written by the lead singer of the group. His name is Horace Wooten. By request for Joe, this one from April 1956. They're called the Chimes. The Chimes on the specialty label. It's called Pretty Little Girl.
Pretty little girl, love only you always.
My pretty little girl, love only you. My pretty little girl, I want you to be mine always, 'cause I love only you, little girl, love only you always. Oh, oh, my pretty little girl, love only you, and hoping that you'll always be true, 'cause I love only you.
That's a great request. Joe Shacatano requested the Chimes. Horace Wooten and the Chimes, April 1956 release on the specialty label Pretty Little Girl. And what a cool tune. That's their second of two on the label. And Horace Wooten, he would later record with groups like the Cupids on the Aladdin label and also the Lions that recorded for the Rendezvous label. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening spinning my original vinyl 45s. We are in the year 1956. Let's continue with the request this time for Rick in Philly. This is on Henry Houston's chart label out of Miami, Florida, and it's a cover song. Earlier I featured the Dreamers on the Melba label, but the Dreamers recorded this initially on the Grand label, but this is a cover done by the True Tones. The True Tones, the Dreamers were 1955. This one is December 1956. It features Howard Patton on lead. So by request for Rick, the True Tones from December 56 on the chart label, their rendition of the tune Tears in My Eyes.
Love is in my heart, tears in my eyes. I love you, dear, soon we'll have to part. Darling, darling, I have tears in my eyes. Tears in my eyes. I love you, dear, deep within my heart, and I pray to Him that we'll never part. Darling, darling, I have tears in my eyes.
Cover tunes here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Did I say, maybe I said Henry Houston. I shouldn't. It should be Henry Stone. I had it down that way. But anyway, that's for Rick in Philly. Cover tune there by the True Tones, December 1956 on the chart label, Tears in My Eyes. Howard Patton on lead. It's interesting that the Dreamers get the writer credit on the original release on Grand, but this one, it's Stone and the lead singer here, Patton. See, you've got to call the lawyers. What can they do now? Statute of limitations has expired. Yes, let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Up next, a request for listener Reed King, listening in Oregon. He wanted to hear a group called The Marvels, which included members from two other groups, tenor Cleveland Still, baritone James Miller, and bass Thomas Gardner. They were from a group called the Scale Tones on the JD label, and second tenor Billy Carlisle and the lead singer for this group, Richard Blandon, they were from a group called the Five Wings that recorded on the King label. And I don't think Richard Blandon was the lead of that group. I think it was Jackie LaRue of Jackie and the Starlight fame, by the way. But anyway, the manager of this group was Hiram Johnson, who recorded this group, and he sold 2 masters to ABC Paramount Records. Now tonight we're going to feature the intended A side of this. It's the jump side requested by Reed. Of course, next week will be the flip, which is a killer ballad. But Hiram Johnson, he was managing the group. But so this is by request for Reed from November '56, The Marvels. That would later on become the Dubs, of course, but they were first known as the Marvels on the ABC Paramount record label. This is the A side. It was called Jump, Rock, and Roll.
Hey, everybody, we're gonna have some fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You only live once, and when you're dead, you're done. So let's jump, rock and roll. Let's jump, rock and roll. Let's jump, rock and roll. Now don't come up to me with your eyes all red. If you wanna have fun, you got to spend a little bread. You got to jump, rock and roll. You got to jump, rock and roll. You got to jump, rock and roll, rock and roll. Well, now look at you, doc. Stop the clock. We're gonna have a little fun, and we ain't gonna stop. We're gonna jump, rock and roll. We're gonna jump, rock and roll. We're gonna jump, rock and roll, rock and roll. 'Cause we're gonna rock and roll, spin some dough, have a good time till we get old. Hey, everybody, we're gonna have some fun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You only live once, and when you're dead, you're done. So let's jump, rock and roll. Let's jump, rock and roll. Let's jump, rock and roll. She was waving a gun. She says, jump, rock and roll. You got to jump, rock and roll. You got to jump, rock and roll, rock and roll. 'Cause we're gonna rock and roll, spin some dough, have a good time till we get old. Hey, everybody, hey there. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna have some fun.
As by request for Reed King, those are the Marvels, a.k.a. the Dubs. Richard Blandon on lead on the ABC Paramount record label. Jump, Rock, and Roll is the name of the tune. Now, Hiram Johnson would then record this group again and put out a single by them called Don't Ask Me to Be Lonely on his Johnson label, and he called the group the Dubs. Then he sold his contract to George Goldner, and the rest is history for the Dubs. It is. Johnny G here on a Saturday evening as we continue here. And speaking of George Goldner, last week, listener Daniel Kubaki requested a rare 45 on George Goldner's G label by a group called the Valtones. Great tune. It was called Have You Ever Met an Angel? Was listener George Tompkins requested the flip side. So we're going to send this one out to George Tompkins. This one from January 1956. The Valtones on G. It's called You Belong to My Heart.
You belong to my heart.
You belong to my heart. Now and forever. And our love had a start not long ago. We were gathering stars while the maiden guitar played our love song. the song, and you'll always belong to my heart. Twas a moment like this. Do you remember? And your eyes so keen when they met mine. Now we own all the stars, and a million guitars are still playing. Darling, you are the song, and you'll always belong to my heart.
You belong to my heart.
It's going out to George Tompkins there. Great two-sided 45, rare record, G number 1004, the Valtones, January 1956 release. You Belong to My Heart is the name of the tune. As we continue here, we are in the year 1956. Here's a 45, or this next 45 is one that my Aunt Mary purchased in the summer of 1956. It actually kicked off Bobby Robinson's Whirling Disc record label, and it's a request for my number one California listener, Métis Campo, a great group out of Harlem, New York. And they're called the Channels. Earl Lewis on lead, Earl Lewis and the Channels. This charted number 2 on WILY out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We go back to August 1956 for this classic by the Channels, requested by Métis on Whirling Disc, The Closer You Are.
The closer you are, the brighter the stars in the sky. And darling, I realize you're the one in my life. Oh, my heart skips a beat every time you and
As by request from Eddie Campoy there, Earl Lewis and the Channels, their debut single on Bobby Robinson's Whirling Disc record label, August 56 release, The Closer You Are. Now, for you collectors out there, I featured it really on the second press block print whirling disc with spinning wheel music. The true first press of this is block print with Bob Dan Music Publishing. That's it. Those big wide letters that you see later on, that a lot of the later whirling discs came out on, those are later presses. This record was a big seller for a number of years. And then even later, because what happened was the reason Bobby Robinson couldn't handle the distribution of that record, and those first presses, they're really thick, grainy presses. Then Jerry Blaine got involved with the spinning wheel music, and he said, "I'll help you press up the record if I get part of the royalties." And that's what happened. And you can tell because of the presses, some of the press, the actual press of the record. Jerry Blaine had a pressing plant, and he pressed for a lot of the local New York labels, and all these presses look the same. Some of them have little dips, some of them have they're kind of characteristics that you can tell. But later on, later on, when the record still sold many years later, then it was repressed again with Bob Dan Music, and that's the one that Fred thought was the original, but it was not. Johnny G here on a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. Now, last week, I played a request for Nat Papagallo of listening in Naples, Florida, by the Star Tones on Eddie Heller's Rainbow label. It's a group out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. It was called Forever My Love. Now, let's give a spin to the flip side before this one goes back down in the no humidity basement. It features Matthew Morales on lead. We go back to May 1956, the Star Tones on Rainbow. It's called I Love You So Dearly.
I love you so dearly. In my dreams I see you so clearly. Oh yes, oh yes, I'm sure I want your love forevermore. Give me your answer, dear. Don't leave me in the dark. Tell me if you care, because you have taken my heart. I fell for you at first sight. I dream of you most every night. Say you'll be mine till the end of time, and I promise to treat you right. Give me your answer, dear. Don't leave me in the dark. Tell me if you care, because you have taken my heart. I fell for you at first sight. I dream of you most every night. Please be mine till the end of time, and I promise to treat you right. Yes, I love you so dearly. In my dreams I see you so clearly. Oh yes, I'm sure
That's May 1957 there, the only release for the Star Tones. Or you can look at it, the Start ones. If you look at it real quick, they need to separate that. They really do. It's on Rainbow Records, Eddie Heller's Rainbow record label, I Love You So Dearly. Now, this group would later on evolve into the Carnations on the Les K record label. Let's continue here. We move into 1957 with another flip side from last week. Daniel Kubacki requested the B-side of the Chart's second release on Danny Robinson's Everlast label. It was called Why Do You Cry? This Harlem's group's biggest hit was their first release. It was called Desiree. Then they followed it up with this one. This was their second biggest hit. This charted number 34 on WABC radio here in New York City. It features Joe Greer on lead. Used to hear this quite often on oldies radio, but not anymore. October 57, the Charts on Everlast with their tune called Dance Girl. Boy, they're liking that one there in the YouTube chat room there, the Charts. Joe Greer in the Charts, October 1957 release on Danny Robinson's Everlast record label. Song entitled Dance Girl. Let's continue now. We are in the year 1957. Another 45 I played last week was by Sammy Hagan and the Viscounts. The group's second release on the Capitol label, it was called Wild Bird. His real name was Sammy Yates, but he recorded under other aliases. Initially, he sang with a group called the Premiers on Dig, but he also recorded as Little Sammy on Shade, Count Yates on Regis, Little Sammy Yates on the Genie label, and then finally had these releases on the Capitol label as Sammy Hagan and the Viscounts. Here's the flip from last week. This one charted number 41 on KUNZ out of Houston, Texas. I'm going to send this one out to George Tompkins because I heard all these Sammy Hagan records on his radio show. This one, October 1957, Sammy Hagan and the Viscounts on Capitol. It's called Don't Cry.
Don't cry, I won't be gone for long. Don't cry, I'll be faithful, my love. All the dreams I dream will be dreams of you, and I hope you'll dream just a little of me too. Don't cry, we'll be together real soon. Don't cry, there's no reason for tears. Oh no, no, no. Well, dry your eyes and remember I love you so. And though I must go, my darling, please don't cry. Oh no, please, please don't cry.
Sammy, Hagan, and the Viscounts there, October 1957. That's their second of three on the Capitol label called Don't Cry. All three records on that Capitol label by them are excellent. We continue here. We are in the year 1957. Here's one for Rick in Philly. He requested The Wanderers, another great group out of Harlem, New York. It's their lone release on Jerry Winston's Onyx record label. They had so many other records, but this was their only one on the Onyx label. Of course, the others to follow that they recorded for Onyx went over to Cub Records, but this is a version by this group that was first done, or this song was first done by Don Cherry in 1950 on the Decca label. It's with Sammy Lowe and the orchestra. Let's give a listen to the Wanderers version of this, featuring Ray Pollard on lead from November 1957, going out to Rick. The Wanderers on Onyx with Thinking of You.
Wonder why I'm thinking of you. Oh why, oh why, oh why is it I spend the day, wake up and in the day, thinking of you. Does it do this to me? Is it such bliss to be thinking of you? When I fall asleep at night, it seems you just tiptoe into all of my dreams. And I think of no other one ever since I've begun thinking
thinking of you. Oh,
That's the great sound of Ray Pollard and the Wanderers by request for Rick in Philly. November 1957 on the Onyx label, Jerry Winston's Onyx Records. Thinking of You is the name of the tune. We continue here. Another one out of 1957. We go to Brooklyn, New York for this group. A request for Joe Shacatano. This group had 3 releases on Leo Rogers and Sid Archie's Lido label. You know their biggest hit. I'm pretty sure you do. Their first release, it was called Blanche. Now, Joe requested their third release. It features Joey Villa on lead. We go back to March 1957 for the Three Friends. The Three Friends on the Lido label. It's called No. What did I say? No, Now That You're Gone.
They call me crazy because I cry. They say I'm daffy to mope and sigh. Well, they're outspoken, but I'm heartbroken now that you're gone. I'm sorry, now that you're gone. I see young lovers acting so gay. I've no ambition to be that way. I know the sky's fair, but what do I care now that you're gone? The world can all go by me and ignore me if they choose. I wouldn't mind, let the world go by me. I've nothing left to lose. I know that someday we'll meet again and I'll be happy, but until then no thrill can tempt me. My arms are empty now that you're gone. I know that someday we'll meet again and I'll be happy, but until then no thrill can tempt me. My arms are empty now that you're gone.
That's by request for Joe Shacatano. Whoops. My record player didn't shut off. The Three Friends there, March 1957 on the Lido label, Now That You're Gone. Joey Villa on lead. He was in all those Alan Freed movies, a couple of the Alan Freed movies, I think, and also went on to join the Royal Teens. And I know he sings lead on that cool tune I like, Believe Me, by the Royal Teens on the Capitol label. Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s. We do it every Saturday from 10 to 1 a.m. here on Top Shelf Oldies. We get an extra show in the month of January, so I have 2 more Saturdays in the month of January, so next week it'll be another All 50s show, and then the week after that it's my All 60s show. I do a 60s show for those that like the latter 60s, or 63 to 69, as the music changed with the introduction of the Beatles. Some people don't like that, but that's the history. That's what happened. But anyway, let's continue here. Now, in last week's Vinyl Treasure Show, I played a request for Nat Papagallo, probably the rarest 45 to come out on George Goldner's Gone record label by a group called the Deltas. Nat requested the ballad side. It was called Let Me Share Your Dream. The flip is a frantic up-tempo, and I think it was Daryl that may have asked me to flip this 45 over. I really don't know much about the group, except that this record was ultra rare, and it cost me a lot of $100 bills, I can tell you that much. It's from 1957. They're called the Deltas on the Gone label. It's called Lamplight.
Do that, 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 whoa, whoa, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, whoa, whoa.
Like gold, my love for you continually grows. I'll love you, darling, with my heart and soul. Will you ever understand? I dream of you nightly, in hopes that you will say you're mine at last. Will my wishes ever come to pass? I love you, I do. As the lamplight glows, everybody knows I'm always thinking of you. As its beams shine out, I'll be holding you. It's plain to see I love you, I do. As the night turns day, I know my love for you will never go astray. I need you, darling, as close to me. Will you ever understand?
Hey, 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 hey.
Like gold, everybody knows I'm always thinking of you. As it's beam shining out, I'll be holding you. It's plain to see I love you, I know. As the night turns day, I know my love for you will never go astray. I need you, darling, as close to me. Will you ever understand? Whoa, 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 whoa.
Those are the Deltas. The Deltas there, 1957 on George Goldner's Gone record label, Lamplight. I don't know why that record didn't get any airplay. Something happened with that record that it didn't get any airplay. I'm sure only a few of the... the record was out, so there are some copies of that record, but it did much better when Slim Rose was playing the record on his Times Square record show. Then the record really started taking off and people bought it on the multicolor Gone, which I think sells for like $75 now. I can't believe that record sells for that much on the second press. Anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here, and we are in the year 1957. On last week's Vinyl Treasure Show, I opened up with 11-year-old little Bobby Rivera and the Hemlocks on Bobby Robinson's Fury label, their only release. The A-side was called Coralie, but listener Evan Blatt asked if I could play the flip side, so we're going to send out the B-side here to Evan from May 1957. This is on the Maroon Fury label for you collectors. The yellow with the horse's head is the second press. It's Little Bobby Rivera and the Hemlocks. It's called Joys of Love for Evan.
The joys of love are hard to explain. They make my heart stop and start again. The joys of love, yes, they leave me inside. The joys of love to me. I love you, baby. Oh, can't you see the joys of love? Send chills to my spine, chills that always, yes, always be mine. The joys of love, yes, they leave me insane. I get thrills when you're close to me. I get chills that weren't meant to be. I can tell your love was sent to me. I love you, baby. Oh, can't you see the joys of love? Send chills to my spine, chills that always, yes, always be mine. The joys of love, yes, they leave me insane.
As by request for Evan Blatt, 11-year-old there can sing like that. That is pretty cool for sure. Little Bobby Rivera and the Hemlocks, May 1957 on the Fury label. Joys of Love is the name of the tune. Again, another record that Slim Rose made popular. He used to have a radio program and he used to do a countdown. I still have some of those countdowns. I have done some here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, but those were records he had in the store that he was selling. So, of course, you know, he's going to advertise records that just came into the store. Ronnie and I used to do the same thing, sometimes for originals, sometimes for a lot of bootlegs that he would sell, that was coming in, guys were pressing these reproductions and he was getting them. And of course, a lot of people can't afford a lot of these records. A lot of them are very expensive. You have to go and find them in the wild. I think that was when Reed mentioned that one time. That's my new term, find the record in the wild, if you're lucky enough. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We are in 1957. I have a request for my California listener, Matey Campboy. This group is out of Washington, D.C. I did a twin spin on this group not too long ago. I don't know how far back, maybe 6 or 7 months ago, but this is one of my favorite sides by the group. It's their first of two, came out on the Mellow record label. This is going out to Matey from December 57. They're called the Gaels. The Gaels on Mellow. It's called Guiding Angel for Matey Campboy.
My guiding angel, please come back to me. I need you, angel, by my side. Oh darling, do you recall the wonderful time we had last fall? I remember the things we did, and then my guiding angel, please come back to me. I need you, angel, by my side. Oh darling, do you recall the wonderful times we had last fall? For I remember the things we did, and then
As by request from my number one California listener, Matey Campboy. She's got great taste in music. The Gaels there, December 1957 on the Mellow label, Guiding Angel. That's the harder of their two records, by the way. Josephine is easier to find. They're still hard, both of them, but that one's not that easy to find. Last week's show, I played their 1960 release on the Win label. It was called I Love You. Let's move on here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Here's a request for Daniel Kubacki. This singer was a member of the Cool Gents that recorded for the VJ record label. Then he went solo in 1957, recording for the VJ subsidiary Falcon/Abner. And this was his first. It's a song he wrote. His real name was Delectus Clark, but you know him as D. Clark. Now, this song was actually recorded at one of the sessions with all the Cool Gents. Actually, the last recording session they had for VJ, which was February 19th, 1957. They had four songs that they recorded that day. This one, another one was called Mother's Son that I think came out. One called June and Kangaroo Hop that I think later on came out by D. Clark. But this is for Daniel Kubacki, June 1957, D. Clark on the Falcon label. The song is called Gloria.
Oh, please come back to me. Please come back to me. You're the one, and you were meant for me. Gloria, I love you, can't you see? So please come home. Oh, please come home. Gloria, please come home. Please come home. That you come back to me. Come back home, I love you, can't you see?
As by request for Daniel Kubacki there, D. Clark, the Cool Gents with D. Clark on lead there, June 57. That's his first release. Solo release came out on the Falcon label, a song entitled Gloria. VJ would reissue this record in 1960 on VJ Records. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, this was another record that George Tompkins introduced me to, this record, but I had two listeners request this song. Both Rick in Philly and Nat in Naples, Florida requested this tune. As we go back to Philadelphia, PA, to Artie Singer's singular label for a group called The Tops. I love this record. By request for Rick and for Nat. March 1958, we move into 1958. They're called the Tops. The Tops on singular, it's called An Innocent Kiss.
My, oh my, oh my, an innocent kiss. That's what it was meant to be. I just never dreamed what a kiss could do to me. My, oh my, oh my, an innocent kiss, one that I could leave or take. That was really what I thought. Oh, what a big mistake. I kissed your lips. I don't know what happened there. I only know that I'll never be the same again. I will never, ever understand how I ended up like this, so completely yours, from just an innocent kiss. I kiss your lips. I don't know what happened there. I only know the same again. I will never understand how I ended up like this, so completely yours, from just an innocent
Boy, they're liking that one there in the chat rooms there. The Tops from March 1958. That's not, Tim, not to Little Jimmy and the Tops. It's a completely different group. But I guess you would think with the singular label out of Philadelphia, it's a song called An Innocent Kiss. I have other records on this label. Daryl mentioned that At the Hop is the record prior to this, which I do have, by the way, with the intro. Do you know that there's like a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 intro before Danny and the Juniors At the Hop? And then I have another one, I think Sandra Powell, and I have another group, I think, called the Cliff Dwellers, if I'm not mistaken, on that label. But I bought that 45. I used to, when I worked in White Plains, I used to work for a company called Transamerica Leasing. I was a staff accountant, started as a staff accountant, and I used to, after work, I would leave around, I worked late, it was about 6 o'clock, I would drive to Mount Kisco, and there was a guy that was fixing his house. His name was Ed Sokol, and he had a basement full of records, and he said, you know, Johnny, you want to come in, and I'm selling everything for $1. I mean, I would be there for hours till like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I would pile records up, and he said these are $1 a piece, and I would like stack them in groups of 100, and I'd probably spend about $2,000 every night that I would go there. Was once a week, and then it was like my entire month of pay at the time. It really was, and not $2,000 a week, but it was a lot of money, and I wasn't making a lot back then in the early 1980s. But that record was in there. Then he showed me a couple others, which was that True Tones that I featured, that Rick request, but he wanted a little bit more. He goes, I want a little bit more for these records. Then it was funny because he had a Wren's record and another record on Atlantic, and it had Rosen on it. So he knew Rich Rosen, but it wasn't Rich. I think he had an older sister. They were her records because he said he did a deal with Rich Rosen. I don't know, but it was just interesting. Anyway, I figured I'd give you that babbling story anyway. That's a cool tune. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. Let's stay in Philadelphia for another request for Daniel Kubacki. Initially, this group had 3 releases on Ivan Ballin's Gotham label. You know their songs. God Only Knows, It Was Moonglow, and It's a Miracle. Then in the fall of 1954, 3 of the members of that group joined the Air Force, and the group broke up. That was it. They were done. But when those guys returned in 1958, they signed a new contract with Ballin for a release on his 20th Century label. And this is Daniel's request from 1958. It features Renee Hinton on lead. Give a listen to the Capris on the 20th Century record label by request for Daniel. It's called My Weakness.
I'll never, never stray. My weakness.
You made me happy in your own sweet way.
You fill the emptiness I thought was here to stay.
You take in my heart, that's all I possess.
Whenever you need me, I'm here at your command. No matter where you go, I always love you so. You're my weakness.
As by request for Daniel Kubacki there, those are the Capris. Renee Hinton on lead, the Capris, 1958 on 20th Century Records, My Weakness. Not to be confused with the Capris that recorded for the Old Town record label that had There's a Moon Out Tonight. Completely different group. This group is out of Philadelphia. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, and last week I featured a group called The Vibes on the Allied record label. The B-side to their first of 2 on the Allied label. It was called You Are. Of course, this group would later on record as The Vibrations, and it was listener George Tompkins and Darrell Letts asked if I could flip the 45 over. We will do that here. We're going to give a listen to the A-side featuring Richard Owens on lead here. We go back to September 1958 for Darrell and George. These are the Vibes on the Allied label. It's called What's Her Name?
I went to school one day. Everything was the same, but there was a new girl in class. The fellows were asking her name. Then suddenly something inside of me was touched. Suddenly, and I knew so much. Oh, what is your name? What is your name? I want you so much, I must confess. I can't sleep anymore without dreaming of you. You're on my mind. The day through and through. But I know that someday,
Yes, someday, dear.
your name will be
Mine, forever mine.
oh mine, and I will help in that my search for the girl that I wanted so very much.
Will you be mine always?
Those are the Vibes out of California for Darrell and George, September 1958, release on the Allied label. What's Her Name is the name of that one. Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s. Hope you're digging on the tunes. Send me your requests at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Get lots of requests. Build the show around the requests I do. Let's continue here. And here's a request for listener Cheryl Morgan. Earlier we heard from the Star Tones out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. This next group is also out of Bridgeport, Connecticut. This is their only release. It came out on the Arrow label. It's by Dick Grass and the Hoppers. Now, Dick Grass is the drummer for the group. He's not the lead singer. The lead singer, his name is Bob Lindsay. Bob Lindsay is the lead singer. He also wrote the tune. I think he's like a young teenage kid, if I'm not mistaken. But this is going out to Cheryl Morgan, October 1958. Dick Grass and the Hoppers on Arrow. It's called Please, Dear.
Please, dear, say that you'll be mine. I'm gonna love you all the time. Say that you'll be mine. Oh, please, dear, I love you very much. I'm gonna linger at your side. Say that you'll be mine.
As by request for listener Cheryl Morgan, October 1958 release, Dick Grass and the Hoppers with Bob Lindsay on lead came out on the Arrow record label, song entitled Please Dear. We are in the year of 1958. We continue with the request. Another rare 45 came out on the Juno label out of New York City, and it was Evan Blatt. He requested this. This group is called The Romans. Have no info on this group, but I love the tune. This going out to Evan, 1958, The Romans on Juno. It's called You Are My Only Love.
Do, 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 do. Ah, do, do, do.
You are my only love. You were sent down from up above. I love you with all my heart, and I hope we would never part. With love as strong as mine, we would be together to end the time. And my darling, I love you so. That's why I want you to know.
In my life, you are the only one that command by me will be done. The highest mountain I would climb just to hear you say you'll be mine.
You are my only love. You're as pretty as a turtle dove. The angels do. You, my dear, can never compare.
Do, do,
As by request for Evan Blatt there. What a great tune that is by the Romans, 1958 on the Juno label, You Are My Only Love. Going to send that one out to a new listener tonight. New listener Joshua Palomo, and welcome him to the Vinyl Treasure Show and the chat room there. And he likes that tune. So do I. We've got the same taste, Joshua, in music we do. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, we move into 1959 now. Now, earlier in the show, I played the Chords on the Cat label from 1954. It featured lead singer Carl Feaster. Then in 1959, he signed with Morris Levy's Roulette record label and had two releases on Roulette Records, now under the name, the alias, Lionel Thorpe. And the writer credits on this mention a couple of the original chord group members of the group. So he probably, there was some member changes, added a couple of guys, and continued to record, but decided to call it Lionel Thorpe. He didn't give credit to the group, unfortunately. But let's send this one out to George Tompkins, March 1959. Lionel Thorpe, a.k.a. Carl Feaster, was the lead of the Chords. This is on Roulette Records. It's called More, More, More.
I'll just keep begging more, more, more. Kiss me, turn the lights down low. Whisper
dream. Careful, love could be mean, and when you squeeze me like you know, I'll just keep begging.
We'll send that one out to George Tompkins there. Lionel Thorpe, a.k.a. Carl Feaster, previously lead of the Chords, leading another group there, March 1959 on the Roulette record label. Song entitled More, More, More. It's a 45 that I found for $0.25. They probably didn't know it was a vocal group. So when I found it at the flea market, I was thrilled to get that one. Unfortunately, we lost Carl January 23rd, 1981, at the age of 51. He passed away from cancer, but remembered here on the Vinyl Treasures show. As we continue here, here's a request, Ultra Rare 45. Matey, where are you finding these rare records that you are requesting? Because they are expensive. One of these sold for a lot of money. Sometimes I check out, Pop Psych and some of the sites on what some of the websites that what some of these records sell for. Some of them so much cheaper and some of them so much more expensive. But Matey requested this very rare 45 on a label out of Nashville, Tennessee. It's called Delta Records. I have no info on this group, but they're known as the Candle Lighters. The Candle Lighters. So this is going out to Matey from 1959. The Candle Lighters on Delta. It's called Would You Do the Same for Me? A rare record.
Everything I
As by request from Matey Campoy, Ultra Rare 45 by a group called the Candlelighters. It's a 1959 release on the Delta label, a label out of Nashville, Tennessee. Would You Do the Same for Me is the name of that one. Thank you for requesting that, Matey. As we move on here on the Vinyl Treasure Show, we continue with the request, this time for listener Joe Shacatano. Joe requested this group out of Largo, Florida. Initially, they had releases on the Trideck and the Nugget labels. This was their third overall release on a label called Dream, and the group was called The Dreams. The song written by the guitarist for the group and the lead singer. His name is Ralph Stevens, by request for Joe Shacatano. October 1959, The Dreamers on Dream, a song entitled Seconds.
It was seconds. It was minutes. It was hours. It was days. It was months. It was years. It's been a long and lonely time. I know that our love is here to stay. It's been seconds. It's been minutes. Yes, it's been hours. It's been days. It's been months. It's been years. Oh, it's been a long, lonely time. And I know that your love's here to stay. Oh, how time passes ever so slow. Yeah, my time was you. There's not much time, I know. It was seconds. It was minutes. It was hours. Yes, it was days. It was months. It was years. Yeah, it's been a long, lonely time. And I know that your love is to stay.
As by request for Joe Shacatano there, Rare 45 by the Dreamers, October 1959, a group out of Largo, Florida, song entitled Seconds on the Dream label. Let's continue now, and we are in the year 1959 now. Last week, I played a request for Evan Blatt, a group called the Chancellors, group out of Detroit, Michigan, on the Storm record label. It was a ballad. It was called My Thoughts of You, and listener Darrell Letts from that state, he asked if I could play the flip side. We're going to do that for Darrell now. May 1959, give a listen to the Chancellors on the Storm label. For Darrell, it's called I Really, Really Do.
Oh, she's my baby, she's my honey, she's my sugar, she's my doll. I love her, oh yes, I really do. Oh yes, she's fine and she's kind, she'll be mine all the time, 'cause I love her, oh yes, I really, really do. head and lovely said, fine, how are you? Oh, she's my baby, she's my honey, she's my sugar, she's my doll. I love her, oh yes, I really, really do. Said, how do you do? She dropped her head and lovely said, fine, how are you? Oh, she's my baby, she's my honey, she's my sugar, she's my doll. I love her, oh yes, I really, really do.
As by request for Darrell Letts there, the Chancellors, May 1959, cha-cha sound there on the Storm record label out of Detroit. I really, really do. I really, really, really like to listen to my records on Saturday night because it's really the only time I get to play my records. It's going to be, I have a deadline by, I got to be done with my forecast by the 22nd of January, and we're off on Monday for Martin Luther King Day, but my boss said that if I work that day, which I'm going to have to complete this, that she'll give me another day off. I do appreciate that because that's the first time she ever said that to me. But anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue here. Let's go back to Brooklyn, New York. We go for another request for my number one California listener, Métis Kemp. Boy, has this group first recorded for Sid Nathan's King label as The Temptations. Then with their next release for King, they changed their name to the Van Dykes, and after leaving King Records, they had this release on Leo Rogers and Lee Silver's Spring record label. It features Mike Cruz on lead, by request for Métis. I like this record, I always did. August 1959, the Van Dykes on the Spring label. It's called Gift of Love.
She's 16 today. What shall I do? My pockets are empty. I feel so blue. I know. I'll bring a gift of love. A gift of love. Soon I'll be there. What can I say? No gift in my hand. On her birthday, I know. I'll bring a gift of love. My friends will bring gifts, some big, some small. They'll think I'm bringing nothing at all, but I don't care what they'll say. For when they leave, I know she'll ask me to stay. She's 16 today. What shall I do? My pockets are empty. I feel so blue. I know. I'll bring a gift of love.
As by request for Matey Kemp. Boy, great tune there by the Van Dykes. Mike Cruz on lead for that one, August 1959. It's on the Spring label. It's called Gift of Love. This label had some association with the West Coast. Bob Keane got involved, and a year later he re-released this on the Donna label. So you can get this on Donna Records, a 1960 release, much cheaper than the Spring original press. Johnny G babbling on here as we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show and losing my breath. I think I did pretty good for 2 hours, I guess. But we move into 1960 now with a request for Joe Shacatano. It's the first release for this group. They're called J.D. Bryant and the Magic Knights. And this came out on Clarence Johnson's CJ Records, CEE-JAY Records out of New York City. And appears to be a label associated with Danny Robinson, because I see Everlast Publishing. That's Danny Robinson's publishing company. So by request for Joe Shacatano, April 1960, CJ Records, J.D. Bryant and the Magic Knights. It's called Searching for Tomorrow.
I'm searching for tomorrow. Oh, love to share. Not one to bring sorrow, but someone to care. I'm searching for tomorrow to make my future bright. Not one to bring sorrow, but one that is right. Searching for tomorrow. Can't you help me, my dear? I'm like a lost sparrow with no one to care. Someone
April 1960 release there for J.D. Bryant and the Magic Knights. By request for Joe Shacatano, it's called Searching for Tomorrow. And when they're on the CJ record label, they had other releases, or at least J.D. Bryant had other releases. Herald Records, Alpha, Enjoy Records, I think some others that I have him on in my collection. Hope you're digging on the cool tunes tonight. Johnny G spinning original vinyl. We do it every Saturday from 10 to 1 a.m. here. I'm on the East Coast. Those of you listening in the West Coast, it's 3 hours earlier. You lucked out. But I used to have an earlier time, but I need more time to prepare for the show, which is why that it's worked out that way. But I wish I was retired so I can do it in the afternoon. That would be great. But let's continue here. We move into 1961 for a request again for Métis. This record brings back memories of the Gus Gossard show, as he featured many 45s by this group out of Brooklyn, New York. Now, the original lead singer of this group was Nate Bouknight, and he did lead on their biggest hit. You may know the song. It was called Baby Oh Baby. Came out in 1957. First time on the Hiram Johnson's Johnson label. But then the group broke up, And that was it for the group, but the record was again somehow being played by DJs, and it became a hit again in 1960, and it kind of sparked the group for getting back together again. It ignited them. We got to sing again, but they needed to find a new lead singer. Hence, the new lead singer for the group was Roy Jones. So he started recording with this group after they got back together again, and Gus Gossett would play all their records for sure. This one charted number 20 on WNHC out of New Haven, Connecticut. So by request from Matey, we go back to September 1961 for The Shells. The Shells with Roy Jones on lead on the Johnson label. It's called Baby, Walk On In.
Baby, walk on in. Hello, baby. It's so nice to see you smile again. Makes me feel like a child again. Baby, walk on in. Baby, walk on in.
Those are the Shells out of Brooklyn, New York, by request from Matey Campboy. Roy Jones on lead with the Shells, September 61 on Hiram Johnson's Johnson label. It's called Baby, Walk On In. Let's continue here with more from 61. We go back, we go to New Haven, Connecticut for this next group. It's a request for Evan. He requested the Five Satins on Al Silver's Ember record label. I'm playing this one on the West Coast press because East Coast presses of this record are on the Black Ember label with the little flame, the Logan flame. But this is a West Coast Monarch press. They were using the old style label at this time, but East Coast switched over to the new label. So this is like the multicolor label. This one charted regionally, only number 72 on KTSA in San Antonio, Texas. The song written by the lead singer, his name is Fred Paris, by request for Evan, January 1961. The Five Satins on Ember. It's called Tell Me Dear.
Tell me you love me from the start. Tell me, dear, you'll never break my heart. Take my hand and say that you'll be
As Fred Paris and the Five Satins by request for Evan, Tell Me Dear, January 61 release on the Ember record label. Cool tunes here for a Saturday evening. We stay in the year 1961 for another request. This time for Cheryl Morgan. We go to Wilmington, Delaware to Vince Rago's Universal label, and she requested Lonnie and the Crisis, and they were a group also locally out of Wilmington, Delaware, and the lead singer Lonnie, his real name was Alonzo Jr. Wise. And so by request for Cheryl, we go back to November 1961, Lonnie and the Crisis on Universal, the Universal record label. It's called Bells in the Chapel. As by request for Cheryl Morgan there. Great, they like that tune there. Lonnie and the Crisis, November 1961 on the Universal label Bells in the Chapel. And Lonnie, he's really Alonzo Jr. Wise. And Lonnie also recorded with a group called the Matadors on the Chavis label, released in 1965. That's a big soul record if you have that 45. He was the lead on that record. Yes, he was. Charlene smoked that information out. Unfortunately, he passed away, though, I think in 2013. But anyway, that is a cool tune there. He was very young when he recorded that, for sure. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We continue with the requests here for Métis. Again, this group best known for their 1960 release on the Fury label. It's the Crying Song. It's called Valerie, which was their first on Bobby Robinson's Fury record label, but Métis requested their third. and it features Jackie LaRue on lead. Now, Jackie LaRue, he was singing lead with a group called the Five Wings on the King label. I mentioned it earlier that some of those group members became members eventually of the Dubs, but sang with the Marvels. But this is by request for Matey, November 1961. Jackie and the Starlights on the Fury label, going out to Matey. It's called I Found Out Too Late.
Place my heart in your care, so no one else could enter into, and I found out too late I made a mistake. Yes, and you, yes, and you, yes, and you. Yes, and you, and I wanted all along to have and to hold. That was my wish, but now it's grown cold, and I found out too late I made a mistake in you. Another chance. Maybe I'm to blame. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not asking for much. You know I love you. You know I love you. I need you, baby.
As by request from Matey Campboy there, that's Jackie and the Starlights, Jackie LaRue on lead, November 1961. On the Fury label, it's called I Found Out Too Late. Lots of crying in that record. I think that was like his motto on a lot of his records that came out. And not that I planned it this way, but I guess we can call this next song has crying in it, sort of, but we can call this next tune a novelty tune because it does sound, but I like those novelty songs that sound serious. And you'll know what I mean. But to those, because I think, to me, those are the best type of novelty tunes. But this group has about 4 overall releases, and this is on a label called Valmont Records out of 1650 Broadway in New York City. Now, there are 2 label variations. If you go check the 45 Cat, I didn't see the one that I have, which is like an all-gray label. So maybe this is the first press, I don't know, but there were some copies, or the ones that I see for sale are the ones that are on 45 Cat, but not this one. But anyway, it's by Tommy Senna and the Valmonts from July of 62 on the Valmont label, and it's a tune that brings tears to my eyes, and maybe it will to yours. But anyways, from July 62, Tommy Senna and the Valmonts on the Valmont label. It's called Onions, parentheses, Remind Me of You.
Look at baby, how you made me cry. I feel the teardrops falling from my cry for you, I can't go on like this. Thinking of your goodbye kiss, yeah. I'll have to try to hide my tears until at last my new love will appear. Oh, until then, onions, remind me of you, dear. They make me cry, oh yeah, cry for you, yeah. Onions, a whole lot of onions, yeah, 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 yeah. They make me cry, oh yeah, cry for you.
July 62, Tommy Senna and the Valmonts on the Valmont label. I bet you own that label. I bet you he do, but that's Onions parentheses remind me of you. And I have to tell you that since I've been shopping, my parents don't go out. They're elderly here, so I have to do all their shopping. And I'm telling you, not that I don't like to shop, but I become actually a pretty decent shopper. Takes me 2 hours to shop, and usually when I shop, it's about somewhere between $250 to $300 a week on the food bill here in the house. So, and I go up and down the aisles. I get a list. I know where certain things are, and I shop at ShopRite. And I'm not really happy with the produce, the one that I go to, which is in Thornwood, New York. I think that's where it is, in Thornwood, New York. Not happy with the produce. The other things are pretty good, and some things are are really, really, you get them on sale. You save a lot of money with the coupons and all that. So if there's one thing that I learned during this pandemic is that I can be a decent shopper. Johnny G babbling on here as we continue here. Let's we go back out to California. Now, last week I played a request for Evan Blatt on Dootsy Williams' Dutone record label by a group called the Dutones, not the original Dutones that did Tell Her a Fortune back in 1955. This was a reuse of their name. They reused the name. And Dootsy Williams said, we're going to rejuvenate that name. We're going to put out a record. And the side that Evan requested last week was Down the Road from November 1962. That featured Charles Gardner on lead. Now, Darrell requested the flip side, which is actually a great two-sided 45 here. So let's go back to November of 1962. This is for Darrell, the Dutones on Dutone Records. This side written by Royal Dillard, and he is the lead singer on this side. So for Darrell, the Dutones on Dutone with Sailor Boy, and this is the intended A-side.
She'll understand, sailor boy, that you love her more and more, day by day, by day, in every way. She'll be true. She'll be true to you. She'll understand, sailor boy, that you love her more and more, day by day, in every way. She'll be true.
That's the intended A-side there by request for Darrell Letts. Those are the Dutones, November 62. On Dootsy Williams' Dutone record label, Sailor Boy is the name of that one with Royal Dillard on lead. Let's continue here with a few more requests. We go back to Brooklyn, New York. For a request for Evan Blatt. This group had only one release. I think the first press of this record, the group was known as the Untouchables, came out on the Alan Kay record label. Then for some reason it came out again, and that's the one that I have. My copy reads Little John and the Unforgettables. Little John, his name is really Nelson Seda, S-E-D-A. Nelson Seda. First tenor here is Larry Girona. Second tenor is Tony Torrado, baritone is Luis Rosario, and the bass is Carlos Gonzalez. This is by request for Evan Blatt, 1962. Little John and the Unforgettables on Alan Kay. It's called Funny What a Little Kiss Can Do.
Kiss me, kiss me, sweetheart, please be mine.
From the beginning of our first romance, the moment that I saw you, I begged for a chance. Just to stay till 10 o'clock, we said good night at 2. Funny what a little kiss can do. I promised the next night that I'd return at 9. You said you'd be waiting with love I thought was mine. But when I knocked upon your door, you'd found somebody new. Funny what a little kiss can do. I guess I took too much for granted. Still your love, I know I'll miss. And though I know my dreams are slanted, I can't forget the magic when we kissed and we kissed. And when I go steady with my someone new, I'll always be pretending, make believing that it's you. I'll think of all the happy time, the moments that we knew. Funny what a little kiss.
Funny what a little kiss. Funny what a little kiss. Funny what a little kiss can do.
That's from November 1962 by request for Evan Blatt, Little John and the Unforgettables on the Alan Kay record label. Funny What a Little Kiss Can Do is the name of the tune. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we start to wind down here on the on the program. Now, on the December 5th a Vinyl Treasure Show, 2020 Vinyl Treasure Show, I played a request for Nat Papagallo. He requested the B-side to the fourth of 9 releases on Belltone by the Jive Five. The song was called Beggin' You Please. And I think, Darrell, you requested to hear the A-side of this record, and I'm just getting around to playing it tonight. This record was number 75 on Cashbox, 67 on Billboard, and number 8 on WAMS out of Wilmington, Delaware. Features the late Eugene Pitt on lead, going out to Darrell. This one from June 62, the Jive Five on Belltone. It's called What Time Is It?
What time is it? I've just got to know. What time is
is it?
It's 5 o'clock.
3 more hours to go till I hold her in my arms and tell her that I want her for my own.
Tick tock, tick tock. Listen to the clock. Tick tock. Listen to the clock.
What time is it?
Listen to the clock.
Tell me once again. What time is it?
It's 6 o'clock.
2 more hours and then I will kiss her sweet lips while the magic of the moonlight makes her mine.
Tick tock. Better hurry up.
And put my tie on.
Better hurry up.
It's almost time.
Tick tock. Listen to the clock. Tick tock. Listen to the clock.
What time is
It's
it?
7 o'clock.
Just 1 hour more. What time is it?
It's 8 o'clock.
Now I've got her door and my heart is beating fast. The moment's here at last. What time is it?
It's time for
By request for Darrell Letts, there, the fourth of 9 releases by the Jive Five on the Belltone record label, the great Eugene Pitt-on Lee, June 62. What time is it? It is 12:53. Got a few more records to go with a couple more requests as we fill out here. And we go back to Philadelphia for a request for Cheryl Morgan. This group initially recorded as the Versatiles on the Rocal record label, but then they signed with Imperial Records and they changed their name to the Majors. I'm sure you know their signature song, their first release for Imperial. It was called A Wonderful Dream. But let's give a listen to their Cheryl requested their 4th of 7 on Imperial. It features the high falsetto voice of, if I pronounce his name right, it's Rick Chord, or C-O-R-D-E. I don't know if that's Chord or Corday. So I don't see an accent over the E. So maybe it's just pronounced Corday or Corday. Anyway, but it's by request for Cheryl Morgan. This one arranged by Jerry Ragavy. This bubbled under at number 125 on the Billboard charts, but was number 24 on KTKT in Tucson, Arizona. By request for Cheryl from August 63, The Majors. The Majors on Imperial with Your Life Begins, parentheses, at Sweet 16. As by request for Cheryl Morgan there, the Majors, August 1963 on the Imperial record label, Your Life Begins, parentheses, at Sweet 16. I don't know about that. It depends. It depends. You never know. Later on, it could be sweeter for sure. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we start to wind down here on the program. Up next, a request for new listener. Want to welcome new listener into our YouTube chat room, Joshua Palomo. He is from Southern California. Thank you for tuning in tonight. I hope you enjoyed what you heard tonight on the Vinyl Treasure Show. He on my YouTube postings, he asked if I had a record by a group called the Leopards on the Leopard label, a song called Valerie. And I remember buying this record from what was his name? I was thinking about it all day today. Oh man, I'll come to me. But anyway, I won it in an auction a long time ago, a gold mine auction, and I was like, well, this record shouldn't have. This record is like an in-demand record for some reason. I don't know, but Charlene did the research for me. The group is out of Brooklyn, New York, and originally this group recorded in 1955 for the Do Re Mi record label a song called Valerie. They were the Mellow Harps, and on that release it featured Arnold Malone on lead. That's a 45 I don't have, that Do Re Mi single. I need that record, I do. But they recorded under let me see. Then they recorded, I think, as the Teen Tones, I think on the Rego label. I think I have that 45. But the group eventually disbanded, and one of the members, his name is Joe Growder, along with David Forte, formed a new group in 1963, and they called themselves the Leopards. And they re-recorded the song Valerie, but this time Joe Growder is doing lead, and they put it out on Les Cahan's Leopard label, and this is his request. So this is going out to our new listener, Joshua Palomo. Welcome to the Vinyl Treasure Show, Joshua, and for your kind comments in the chat room. I really do appreciate it. So we're going to send this one out especially to you. 1963, The Leopards on Leopard with Joe Growder on lead. The song is called Valerie.
Do 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 do.
Valerie, how I love you, my how I need you, my Valerie. You mean so much to me. Oh, Valerie, oh my beautiful Valerie, oh my wonderful Valerie. You mean so much to me. I think of you every day, dream of you every night. You're the girl for me. When I pass you on the street, my beautiful Valerie, oh my wonderful Valerie, you mean so much to me.
As by whoops, sorry folks. As by request for new listener Joshua Palomo. Thank you so much for requesting that. That's the first time I played that record on the show. First time I did. 2 more 45s to go before Johnny G signs off here. Rare girl group sound up next is out of Long Island, New York, on Clark Galehouse's Shelley label, actually out of Huntington Station, New York. Can't tell you much about this gal. Her name is Eleanor Davis. This is either late 1963, early 64 sound, produced by Frankie D. And I got one more record we're going to close out with, but this is Eleanor Davis, 1964 on Shelley. It's called Day in Court.
Gentlemen of the jury, the verdict is up to you. Please hear my story and decide what to do. Without his love, I do not want to live. I have so much love to give. First thought was that he had cheated me, for when I saw him with my girlfriend Lori, I struck her and I am sorry. Tell me, is this a fair trial? Am I a juvenile? 'Cause I wanted to walk right up and down the aisle. When will he return? How long will it take? Please tell me his love was not a mistake. But when he comes rushing up the aisle, I know he loves me. I can see it in his smile. So if you don't mind, I'd like to leave the stand. 'Cause I've got my man. I got day in court. I got my man. I got day in court. I got my man. I'm so happy.
Either 1963 or 64 release there. I don't. We couldn't really tie down the date on that one, but it's Eleanor Davis and a girl group in the background there on the Shelley label, a song entitled Day in Court. That's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyl Treasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to my original Vinyl 45s. If you want to get in touch with me, send me an email. My email is vinyltreasures@aol.com. Send me requests, send me records, tell me about the show, tell me you like the show. I love getting fan mail. All the disc jockeys really like getting fan mail. And I normally do get emails right after the show and comments and questions and whatnot on the records I played, but I really do relish getting those emails, as most of the disc jockeys do here on Top Shelf Oldies. But I always enjoy doing the show. I spent a lot of time today. I should have been working today, but I told my boss I can't work today. I got too many people that tune into the show and look forward to the show, and it's my relaxation, so I have to do it. So anyway, I did, and I'm glad that I did, and I hope you're glad that I did. But that's going to do it for tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we're going to close the show. Well, actually, let me tell you, you can, if you want to listen to the show again, or you want to download the show, you can go to my website, vinyltreasures.net. So you can stream the show there or download the show, or YouTube. If I don't get any copyright police tonight, the YouTube will, it's been up relatively pretty quickly, and I really haven't had many problems from the copyright police. If anything, there might be a couple of the a couple places, like I think Cuba and maybe Iran and somewhere else, where they will not post the show. They actually tell me because of copyright issues, but it's been pretty good over the last couple months or so. But again, it should be available on YouTube again and the chat usually comes up too. If not, they have a program that I have to take the songs off, but not on my website. You can always get the songs on my website. But anyway, that's going to do it, folks. We're going to close the show tonight with a request for George Tompkins. I had this in the box for a long time. This record originally came out on the Bandera label out of Chicago, Illinois, but somehow it ended up on Checker Records. And it's the only release for this group called the Boomerangs. I don't know anything else about the group. It's from November 64. I think I might have it on Bandera, but I knew I had it on the Checker label. It's the Boomerangs on Checker. It's called Telling Lies. That's the closer for tonight. Johnny G tells no lies. I play only original vinyl. I do. Might not be first presses, could be second presses, but mostly first presses. But that's going to do it, folks. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please tune in next Saturday beginning at 10 o'clock. I'll be here for 10 to 1 p.m. And tune in tomorrow evening from my buddy, Relics and Rarities with Dave the Rave. Dave the Rave plays all those cool 60s records. Not a lot of the doo-wop, but a lot of great 60s. He does do some, but not much, but great 60s sounds and soul sounds. So you want to tune in to Dave the Rave tomorrow beginning at 9 o'clock, 9 to midnight. And all the shows on Top Shelf Oldies. Top Shelf Oldies hosts DJs every day of the week beginning at 8 o'clock, mostly 8 o'clock. We have a couple other guys that are on during the day, like Rich Sabello on Tuesday, I think beginning at 5 o'clock. But you can go to the TopShelfOldies.org website for a listing of all the DJs that are on Top Shelf Oldies during the week. I'm on Saturday, right after Clark. So again, I hope to see you next Saturday again at 10 o'clock. Thank you, Charlene, for all your help. Want everybody to have a safe and happy week. I'll see you next Saturday. Send me your request. Just want to say, everybody, so long.
Only one way. Only one way, darling.
I can go.
Is pretend to myself you're really not gone. Darling, I'm so hurt. Can't you see, girl? I feel so hard. But every day of my life, I keep telling lies
to myself about you.
She'll call tomorrow.
Ring-a-ling,
'cause she misses me too.
Ring-a-ling, ring.
I keep telling lies
to myself about you.
Darling, so many lonely nights
and today,
and all of those lonely days,
day and tonight.
it seems that I'm
passing away the time.
Just passing time.
And girl, don't you know I'm wasting away my life. But day by day I go on,
hoping and praying,
hoping and praying,
hoping and praying.
I'll have something great.
I keep telling lies to myself about you.
Where are all those tomorrows?
Where are those tomorrows?
you said we would share. So seldom they happen. If so, tell me when. Darling, won't you tell me? My friends found out you'll never be true. But every day of my life, I keep telling lies to myself about you.
Okay, folks. Yeah, that's it. It's a wrap. I'm going to show you the last two records, then we're going to sign off here. I am a little tired tonight. Day in Court, Eleanor Davis. The first copy of this I bought from the Count, wrecked copy. He's charged me a lot of money, but then I was able to find a cheaper, I think for $8 from, did you ever buy from this guy on eBay? His name is Jake the Snake, Rattlesnake. Did you ever buy from Rattlesnake Jake when I used to buy it from eBay? So, and he used to have all this stuff from this. You see that radio station? It's WRAX. He used to have a lot of stuff on there. And he used to have all these buy it nows when I was buying regularly. But I can tell you, my eBay bucks for the last quarter was 16 cents. So it shows you how much I've been buying 45s. I don't want to pay the sales tax. I'm not going to pay the sales tax. Got to send me, sell to me privately. And here's that record George requested, the Boomerangs on Checker. Kind of a gospel-y flavor there, but I gotta check. I might have it on the Bandera label because that's one of the other labels that I do. I collect thousands of labels, really. But anyway, so tomorrow's going to be a busy day for me. I got my work to do, but I'm glad that I kind of took a break today to do the show. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I really enjoyed doing the show. And again, thanks again, Charlene, for all your help. And I'll be back next Saturday at 10 o'clock. More of your requests and rare records out of my collection. Tell your friends, like the video. It's important to like the video because then it kind of spreads the word. Okay, everybody, be safe. I'll see you next Saturday. Have a good night, all. Bye-bye.